All right. Let me check these streams. Make sure we up and running. YouTube's cool. See, and let me make sure I do Facebook and press go live. Yeah, graphics, your live video. Cool, cool. All right. And then I'm gonna do what you recommended, Nick. I'm gonna go to my personal Facebook page and I'm gonna share it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So how do I make it? Oh, let me change my profile.
So on the bottom right, if you're on your phone, you just click the
Mm-hmm.
little circle and you'll be able to switch it to yours.
Yeah, I'm. Hold on, I switched it to the wrong one. I got too many profiles on here. There we go. Okay, so I'm back. Now, what was? How do I find the video? I got to go to balance periods page.
Yep. As soon as you get there, it should pop up.
Yeah, it does.
And then you should be able to just make sure you change your profile from
Oh
balance
Lord, this is
periods to
interesting.
yours.
My AirPods switched back over. 1 second.
To
My
the phone.
AirPods.
You gotta turn your Bluetooth off on your phone.
This is really trippy because I can't hear you anymore. Lot like, yeah, I need to do that. Okay, take this video. Because I can't hear you anymore. Lot like, share. Yeah, I need to do that. There we go. Okay. All right, I'm back. I should be at least. Let me wait. I still can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Talk for me real quick, Nick.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but let me get you back to my air.
Good.
Should be at least. Let me wait. I still can't hear you. Okay. I'm gonna have to switch my AirPod. I'm gonna have to my computer. Okay, we're back. Man, that took a lot longer than what I had originally expected, but you know what? We made it.
Thank you.
Welcome
Now
to
we
another
got a live
live
studio
Mindful
audience
Monday.
now.
We do. We do.
Damn.
We were able to divvy them up to where some could be at my house and some could be at Nick's. So, you
That's
know,
why I had to look
they
behind me. I
they,
was like,
they
who let
work in
these
unison.
when they get here?
Welcome to another Mindful Monday. Nick and I were having a great conversation just before this about kind of the direction that we want to take this show and how we want to utilize it as a space to engage with individuals who might know what it is that they need to do, or not even need to do, but they know what they can do in order to improve their quality of life, but they're just not quite at a place where they're ready to go through the process of actually making those adjustments. And, you know, it's okay. I think that each one of us experiences that. I know I do, and I know from conversations that I've had with Nick, Nick does as well. So we want to just have this space as a way that we can educate individuals on ways that they can potentially utilize their current lifestyle in a way that over time they can incrementally improve their quality of lives. It doesn't have to be anything major, nothing that you have to do, you know, extravagant right now, but just learn a little bit more, right? Expand your awareness a little bit more on a consistent basis, and that in and of itself can completely transform your quality of life over time. So, Nick, yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about your perspective on what we were briefly discussing before hopping on this call.
I'm trying to remember what I was saying.
Well, I think we were starting it out with just understanding where people are on their journey. Like, not
Yeah.
everyone is at a place where they are looking to, you know, invest in their well-being.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna share from my perspective, like things that have helped me be able to do it. Cause I mean, shit, that's what y'all listen, since we're explaining to y'all where we've been and what we did. So for me, y'all often hear me talk about acceptance, and the reason why I bring that up so much is to me that just handles things on so many different layers with just that one focus. What I mean by that is when I know the things that I would need to do to live a certain way of life that I would say it was a used to be a desire for me to live, but I wouldn't do it. And I would spend more time being upset at myself for not doing it than actually putting the effort that could be put in during that time. And I feel like that's one of the first traps that we deal with. And then the second one, which is why I call it layers, gets added on top of that because that's not always going to sustain you. Like it feels good to talk about it, it feels good to other people about what you want to do and making these changes. But when you're not doing it yourself, eventually you're going to have to find another way to cope with that aspect. So then we start bringing in other stuff. So I look at things like now I'm eating more. Maybe I'm finding some way to disassociate with what I want to do and go off somewhere else to be like, nah, this doesn't exist anymore until I need that. I mean, I'll go as far as say dopamine hit of talking about it or feeling, trying to feel good about whatever it is. And I think that that is just a vicious cycle that we deal with. The aspect of, I mean, it's pretty much people pleasing. And then on top of that, self doubt. And that just causes us to revolve around dealing with it over and over again until we can create a place for ourselves that is of complete acceptance. Because when you accept where you are, that means it's okay to be who you are right now. And that was the big thing for me to accept where I was and be like, you know what? I know that these things could change my life, but I don't want to do this right now. And it's okay that I don't want to do this right now. It's not a good or bad thing. There's nothing that I have to achieve, to be, to have, to do. It is 100% okay for me to know what I could change and not do it, and giving myself that freedom to know that I could and not doing it. And I even set boundaries for myself. It was around the time we were doing a self check podcast when I was like, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. And that's period. And I accept whatever the consequence comes from me making that
I'm not sure if he froze for everyone. No, he just froze for me.
be more aware of them that than I normally am. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And
Gotcha.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it freezes for both of us. I'm not sure.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it did definitely didn't freeze for you. Like you were probably still talking, so you weren't frozen, like personally, just the screen. But yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate you drawing our attention to the fact that it is layered, and I know that what I was spending time doing while you were speaking was pulling up a link that I am adding to both the live that we are on YouTube, and I'm currently now getting it placed over to our Facebook stream as well. But wanted to just share with people the fact that we are currently doing a workshop, and where the focus for this workshop is on entrepreneurs specifically, just because as an entrepreneur we choose to put ourselves in an environment that is very uncertain, that oftentimes comes with fear. We tend to doubt our abilities to be able to execute in ways that we feel like we need to execute in order to grow a successful business. But it's layers to this process, and that's why the workshop is extended over 12 weeks, because we're guiding you step by step through, teaching you how to understand the value of believing in your ability to succeed, and then accepting yourself for where you currently are on your journey, and then responding to yourself and what you experience with kindness and compassion, and then actually prioritizing time for self-care, and not just prioritizing time for it, but then setting non-negotiable boundaries to protect the time that you have recognized actually adds value to your life. And then you understand the value of consistency, so doing all of that consistently over time, and how that is how you develop habits, and then expressing gratitude on a daily basis so that you can tap in to your highest self today. Like the person that you want to be is currently here, they always have been, but your ability to tap into the present moment through expressing gratitude allows you to feel enough in this moment, regardless of where you are on your journey. And so it's layered. I just talked through like a 7 step process. There's layers to it, and it's important to be patient with yourself and to be kind to yourself as you go through that process. But I wanted to share the link because we dive deeper into how you execute on each one of those steps that I just mentioned, and how by the end of experiencing this with us, you will be in the best position to incrementally improve the quality of your life from wherever you are, so that you can make it to where you want to be in your life. So just wanted to share that with everyone so that you all know that we are here. We're not just talking about it. We don't just have these platforms just to talk about it. We want to equip you with the tools that you need to incrementally improve your quality of life, for you to more mindfully manage your energy. And our hope is that it is done from the intention that how you live your life is important, not just for you, but for the example that you're setting for the individuals that you get an opportunity to influence in our next generation. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just wanted to share that.
No, yeah, and I would say just to add on to it, definitely use everything. Like we just said, it's layers. Now you get to use everything that you learn from us. Like being mindful of the layers that you need to uncover or need to deal with is, I mean, it is invaluable. I think I used that right. Anyways,
Probably.
but as you become mindful of those layers, you realize like, hey, it's not just a one fix all. If you like me, I've been alive for 31 years. It's not that I'm gonna notice one thing about myself and be like, oh yeah, I need to fix this, and then my life is magically better. I have neural pathways, I have experiences, I have so many things that I've been through my whole entire life that have shaped who I am, and now I want to change all 31 years of that. That's going to take some time. That's going to take practice. That's going to take trial and error. That's going to be a journey. And that's why it's a marathon and not a sprint. And you get to have fun if you want to.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. This concept of like taking this, this one pill, doing this one thing, and after you do it, now, you are exactly who you want to be. You are, your life is completely changed, and there's the thought that there's no work that has to go into the process of uh, making adjustments and changes to our lives in any way. Like that is, it's so, I think it's rooted in this um, instant gratification that we are able to tap
Definitely.
into anytime we pick up our phone. Like the fact
Yeah.
that I can post something on social media and I can get a like and get another like, and each time I get one of those likes and I see it, like it's feeding into this concept that I can
They
get
like
what I
me.
want when I want to. Yeah, like right now, and that's it's just not true, and it's definitely not true as it pertains to what Nick was mentioning, like going through the process of laying new neural pathways, going through the process of changing the framework of our, like the layout of our brain and how our brain operates. Like that's not like as Nick was mentioning. I look at it like for me in cultivating the perspective that I have in aligning, my actions with my values and goals. I lived a certain way for like 24 years. Like you have to think like repetition. We talk about the value of repetition and changing stuff, but you live a certain way for so long, even though you're aware that that no longer serves the person you want to be, it doesn't mean that just naturally tomorrow when you wake up, you're not going to feel inclined to continue to take those actions that you have taken for the last, couple decades. So it's going to take intention, it's going to take effort. That's why we are about to partake in a brief mindful moment because through strengthening your mindfulness muscle, you're able internally to be aware that you are drawn to doing this thing, right? Whatever that thing is for you, you're drawn to doing it even though it's no longer aligned with who you want to be. And now with this mindfulness, with this level of awareness, you're able to intentionally move your focus from where it used to be to what you have identified is more aligned with the person that you want to be. That's healthier for you with where you are on your journey. And it starts with you being able to be disciplined mentally, which comes from cultivating mindfulness. So, Nicholas, take everyone through a brief mindful moment. We'll start with a couple rounds. We'll just do balanced breathing today, which is six
Yo,
seconds in, 6 seconds out. I'll guide us through a couple rounds of that. And then we will just kind of, I'll hand it over to Nick and he'll draw our awareness to whatever, whatever he wants to in this moment. So
I got the
I'll count us
perfect thing.
down.
Let's go.
I just burp. So that's just a product of drinking water. I would highly recommend, just getting some water in your life. But aside from that, I'm gonna count us down 3, 2, 1, and then we will do 2 rounds of balanced breathing, and then I'll hand us over to Nick. All right, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Go ahead and sit with the next two breath cycles. Continue to breathe. Notice your feet on the ground. Notice the surface that you're sitting on. Take some time to allow your awareness to go to those places to begin to feel without judgment or being mindful. And now I want you to shift your awareness to your thoughts. I like to think of it as if I'm in a movie theater and I'm just sitting in the back row watching them all play out. And the reason why I bring your awareness here is because in that journey of creating new neural pathways and cultivating mindfulness, being the observer of our thoughts is very beneficial because now you won't identify with them. You won't become your thoughts. You won't become what it is that you're dealing with, which gives you the opportunity to hold a wider perspective to give you more options on the journey that you want to create for yourself. So it is in this space that you're able to breathe, be the observer of your thoughts, and control what you do next. I thank you all today for joining me for this mindful moment. Or us.
Yeah, yeah, I was here too. All right.
He was.
So yes, yes, this concept that I was talking about before we paused to breathe, to pay closer attention to what was going on in our mind, to bringing our awareness back to what we were currently feeling in our bodies and the contacts we were making to the surface beneath us. That is the repetition. That is the process that is necessary to go through in order to cultivate more mindfulness into your life, to cultivate your ability to, like what Nick was saying, unhook yourself from the identification that you have with certain thoughts and certain emotions and understand that you are the observer of those thoughts and those emotions. So your ability to respond to them significantly changes when you realize that you are not the emotion itself, that you are the person observing it. You can allow that emotion to pass, and then you can make sure that you're keeping your responses aligned with your values, so the person that you want to be, and the goals, the things that you want to accomplish in your life. So that is the powerful aspect of strengthening your mindfulness muscle. And the interesting part is when you think about strengthening muscles in the gym, you're like, I need to go and I need to exert effort in order to break this muscle down. And then, of course, by using the correct for you recovery protocols, generally just getting high quality sleep, your body rebuilds those muscles back stronger. And now you're ready to go back into the gym and do it again. It's really interesting that in order to cultivate mindfulness, right, this very, very powerful way of being able to manage your emotions, you do that through just sitting and being still. Like you're not exerting physical force, you're just being more aware of what's going on in your mind and you're doing it in a non judgmental way. So when you are sitting and breathing and you notice your mind wander, you gently and kindly bringing your awareness back to your breath is that repetition. It's not maxing out on a bench press. It's gently bringing your awareness back to the present moment. But you still get the result of this effort that is put in to kindly bringing your awareness back to whatever it is you want to keep your awareness at during that practice itself. So it's really interesting just to notice a difference in building this muscle internally versus building our muscles externally. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that there are a lot of times throughout the day to do repetitions. Because when you think about it, that our mindfulness practice is the complete opposite of how we're taught to live within the structure of society that we live in. It's always on the go. It's always looking at the clock, always trying to make sure that we're going to the next thing, trying to get, be, have, do, whatever. And the way to be able to do that at a higher level is to do the complete opposite. That's hilarious. And it's just, I just thought that was interesting when you were talking about it. It was like, yeah, it's literally to do the complete opposite of everything that we've ever known is the best thing for us. And in a lot of ways in life, we don't see that. And that's why I bring it up to say, that's why I always talk about the perspectives that we hold. Because you can hold a perspective, if you held the opposite perspective of that, you will never have that experience. And I just feel like that sucks because there's some experience on life that I don't want anybody to miss out on. I want everybody to have every experience that they can. And so it's like, don't get so caught up in absolutes and allow yourself to be okay with experiencing something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real. It's real interesting once you begin to experience it. Like I know one of the things that I have learned over the years is that most things in life weren't designed to be like tough. Like you have like tests, you have puzzles that were designed to kind of be, difficult. But most things are relatively simple in like the way that we're able to just do it and then get results from it. So when you find yourself struggling, I would say take a moment to think about why the struggling is taking place. Because odds are you're struggling because you're trying to misuse whatever tool you're currently using. Like for me, I used to actually, I take it back to a specific instance, right? At this time in my life, I was putting on a door and a fender to my car. My car had got hit. I got the money from my insurance company to get a new door. At that time, I wasn't really making very much money, so I chose to use that money to spend on like necessities. Highly wouldn't recommend that to someone that goes through the similar experience. But I got to a place where I needed a new door, so I just went to the junkyard. I was able to do this job for a very cheap price, but the price of it though was me having to put it on the car myself. And so during this time, I'm watching tutorials on YouTube. I'm going through the process of, seeing how I got to unscrew this and unscrew that and put this here and put that there. And I realized that through that process, like this car was put together in a way that it could be taken apart. And if I found myself struggling to do it, I probably there was a maybe I wasn't using the right tool, or maybe I just was unaware of what I needed to do force wise in order to get it undone. It wasn't that it was difficult, it was just I was misusing the resources that I had in order to get the job done. And I think that is oftentimes what happens to us mentally and emotionally when we are overreacting to certain things that we're experiencing, when we are responding to people in a way that's not aligned with the person that we want to be, when we're, being nasty, being rude, being angry, right, in our expressions of energy to other people. It's because we're not mindfully using the tools that we have on a regular basis. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think that happens. It happens more than what we may know, but by slowing down and paying closer attention to when we are feeling like we're struggling, understanding that odds are we're the ones creating that in our own experience. So,
Yeah. And I would say, like, and I'm only speaking from my experience, when we even start to be aware of where we're struggling at, there's a resistance there because we know that we now have to create change for ourselves. And I just want you to know that whatever resistance you face, I use that as the green light, go ahead. Like, that's like, bet this is the direction I need to be going. Because, like Raymond said, a lot of stuff that we do is relatively simple. And because of that, it's really easy for us to make things complicated. We'll complicate it with our emotions. We'll complicate it with absolute perspectives. We'll do all kinds of things to make it something when in reality it could be extremely simple.
for sure, for sure. And so, one of the things that we wanted to do today was to just offer up a way that I know I've been incorporating at least for the last week now, and been educating myself on. But we like to offer up simple ways, sustainable ways that people can feel more energized during the day so that they can actually take action on what they have identified would add value to their lives, because that's one of the things that holds us back at times from making the adjustments to our routines that we identify would actually improve our quality of life, is that we don't feel like we don't have enough energy to, like, we don't feel like it, we're not motivated to make these changes because we allow our daily lives to drain us so much so that by the time we make it to a point in our day where we can do something that is beneficial for our quality of life, we're like, I would rather just disconnect. I would rather just like not do anything. Not to say that disconnecting is bad, but there are ways that we can more intentionally spend the time that we have that can contribute to us doing what we need to do and being able to incrementally improve our quality of life at the same time. So, in just thinking about energy, I've been learning a lot more about ways that I can optimize sleep. And I know as you know, we talk about it on the podcast a lot, like ways to improve our quality of sleep over time. But one of the things that I've been learning more about is the connection between getting light exposure in the beginning of your day, and not only to that helping to fuel us energetically throughout the day and to prompt our bodies to align with us feeling good so we can function at our best, but it also contributes to us getting higher quality sleep the next night, right? Because we're feeding ourselves, we're feeding our circadian cycle, this 24-hour clock that our body goes through, that pretty much all living things go through based on what science knows about, circadian rhythms. Being able to align the habits that we practice with us feeding this system in a positive way has, you know, significant benefit to our mental and emotional well-being, which at the end of the day, if we're not operating at our highest level mentally and emotionally, odds are we're going to be experiencing a lot more suffering in our experience. We're going to be a lot less likely to mindfully manage how we respond to ourselves and others, and the emotions and thoughts that we experience on a daily basis, which then leads to mood disorders, to generalized anxiety disorders, a lot of things that then contribute negatively to our physical well-being over time. So I I subscribe to a lot of different newsletters. That's one of the ways that I consume information. I think it's great because, whatever the topic of the newsletter is, there's a purpose behind it, and then within it, there's resources that I could dive deeper into whatever, the overarching theme for that newsletter is, which I do want to share our newsletter. Of course, we put out one every Monday. Mindful Mondays is what it's called, the same name as this broadcast. But I just want to make sure that everyone has access to that because we put resources into Mindful Mondays every week for you. There's breathing exercises for you to strengthen your mindfulness muscle. And there are other resources that are designed to help you continue to incrementally improve your quality of life. So just wanted to share that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, see if I can pull up. I'm just going to do the entire window. So it's going to look trippy for a second. Just bear with me. So here, one of the newsletters that I subscribe to is by the sleep doctor, is what he calls himself, but Dr. Bruce. He wrote the book The Power of When. So that chronotype quiz that we've talked about many a times, he's the one that has championed that. And in this newsletter, it was talking about this connection between sunlight and, in this case, our mood and our sleep and our overall circadian rhythm. So this was a study done in the UK with over 400,000 participants. And what they found, let me see, this is abstract, which is like, I generally read these when I read studies because it gives you a breakdown of pretty much the most important aspects. I'm a Spark Notes kind of guy, so this is what I like to see. But the conclusions is our findings suggest that low daylight exposure is an important environmental risk factor for mood, sleep, and circadian related outcomes. Meaning, if you're not getting sunlight during the day, that it increases your odds of having mood disorders, having sleep disorders, and your circadian rhythm overall not operating at its highest level. And so what it said here for the participants, they were either getting about an hour and a half to 3.5 hours of like daylight. So being outside, what's recommended is to like have your face, being exposed to sunlight because our retinas are what helps to utilize the light that we see to tell our nervous system, which controls everything, what's going on. When we think about it, back in the day, we would generally, like, we didn't have technology as readily available. We didn't have as many light sources as readily available. So we would pretty much utilize the sunlight as a way to let our bodies know, okay, it's daytime now, so let's get to work. Oh, it's nighttime now, let's go to sleep. But now, because we have, phones, we kind of throw this clock off, this internal clock, because in the mornings, sometimes we're not getting sunlight. We might be using our phone, but like that doesn't give us nearly the amount of lux necessary in order to trigger our internal clock to know that it's time to get up and get moving. And then in the evening time, odds are we're on our phone a lot, we're on our technology a lot, and that's during the time that we need to be in darker environments so that we can tell our pineal gland to release melatonin that prompts us to go to sleep. And so it's understanding how the current habits you are practicing may be contributing to you not feeling good and functioning at your best And it could be something related to this very simple concept of just getting more natural light in your day, whether that's in the morning, midday, afternoon. Just getting more natural light can improve your quality of life over time. So, Nick, talk about your interaction with the sun and sunlight and your perspective on all this.
I mean, I had got really into it back when I was doing like grounding a whole lot. So I would spend time meditating out in the sun and different things like that. One thing I do notice is that coming from beforehand when I was really deep into seclusion, I spent a lot of time with my room with the blinds closed. I instantly noticed a difference in just my overall mood the moment I started spending more time in the sun. And I just always thought that was interesting. It wasn't like some huge big thing, but I could tell within myself that I felt lighter and I felt better the more I started to expose myself to the sun more. And so that was just something I just noticed for myself within my own journey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why in some places, especially like during the winter when the sunlight isn't as readily available for people, there's like seasonal depression is a thing. To where
Mm-hmm.
just because you're not being exposed to as much light as normal, your mood is altered and you are depressed during the season. So there are ways to work around that. There are ways to, create artificial light if you're living in an area that just doesn't get that much sun. But just know that it doesn't have to be the sun out and shining in order for you to get the benefit of this light exposure. Even if the clouds are covering the sun, you're still going to get the benefits of this light exposure by just going outside. So don't think that, oh, it's cloudy where you are and so you can't get it. No, no, just know that going outside and being exposed to nature in this regard and the light that comes earlier in the morning after you wake up, that is going to be beneficial to your overall well-being from the inside out. And by utilizing whatever way that you use to track your emotions and your mood, you'll be able to notice a difference. I would say you would notice a difference, especially if you're not getting very much light now. After starting to incorporate this, just I would say just do like 3 days out of your week, and then with whatever
Okay.
way you track your mood, see how you felt on the days that you didn't, see how you felt on the days that you did.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah, just want to throw that out there. No, go ahead.
yeah, we got a comment on Facebook says I took my
Oh,
daughter
cool.
to the park yesterday, felt the sunlight on my skin, and I definitely felt an emotional shift. Yeah, and it's something that it's crazy that it's so subtle and it's so simple. Like I didn't even know that I was feeling down at that time. I didn't know I was down. I thought this is how I just normally was. And you go outside and the sun's like, "Hey, bro, you can be better than this." You're like, "Oh, thank you, son. I appreciate that."
Right, right. But yeah, it is, like I said, it's so simple and it's sustainable. Why? Because A, the sun comes up every day, and B, it's free, right? So if that's not sustainable, I don't know what is. So prioritize some time to get outside. Boy,
I was
prioritize some
like
time to
trying.
get outside and get in the light.
I was like trying to think of what excuses people could say. Like I'd really be sitting here just thinking, because this is the thing. The crazy thing is, that we live in a society where people like, bro, like, nah, bro, it's just a lot for me to go outside, and it's like, you serious? Like you really feel that way? It's amazing in and of itself.
I think we're very quick to make excuses, and that's one thing I will say. Right? If you hear this and you're naturally like, I can't do that. First and foremost, I would highly recommend you just audit that thought process. The fact that there is a limiting belief there that is prompting
Yeah,
you to say I can't do something. Highly recommend a participating in the Balance Blueprint workshop because we will help you understand ways that you can overcome that and can adopt a more empowering perspective. But B, just swap that out, and I will say I'll just kind of share the resource here. Swap that out with how can I naturally do that? That's beneficial. But aside
yeah,
from that, slow down a little bit. I find myself like when I am operating out of a limiting belief, I tend to be like I respond so fast. So when I hear something, I'll naturally be like, no, I can't do that. Wait a minute. I responded way too fast. I need to slow down, maybe take a deep breath. Let's think this through before I respond. When someone asks, hey, how are you today? I'm fine. Ooh, I responded way too fast. Am I really fine? Like, is that how I really feel right now? So slow down a little bit as you take in new information before you say you can or can't do something because odds are you can, but you might not believe it, and that's okay because we all have limiting beliefs. So once you're aware of it and you are able to have some tools in place in your life that allow you to take action in spite of those limiting beliefs. That's all you need in order to improve your quality of life in whatever facet that you feel like you need to. So,
Period.
yeah.
Dope.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's what we got for you today. I know. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else going on. Oh yeah, the All Star game. Did you watch any of the All Star game last night?
Mm-mm.
I
Oh, well, I
figured you
always
didn't.
I do Twitter for sports now. Twitter is my sports hub for memes and everything else now.
Yeah, I watched it like the first half, just about. It was entertaining, I guess. I'm not. I don't watch as much sports these days as I used to, but I enjoyed it because it was fun. I mean, you get to see the best players in the world do freakishly athletic things like
Oh
every
yeah.
time down the court, which is kind of fun to see. Um, I know, hey, you did watch I still have not watched the first episode of the Kanye documentary, but I know you
Hmm.
did, so I'll give you some space just to talk about the experience that you had from watching it.
Man, it was dope on the aspect of like, you know how we had those moments where you find something outside of yourself that tells you like, hey, it's okay to be you, or like, hey, this was my sign. That's what that was. Like, I'm not gonna be on here and give stuff away, but the perspective that you get to see his life through, like seeing that life through that, seeing how people treated him, seeing how people viewed him, and to see his ability to stay who he is and to know that he's been the same way this whole time, it's inspiring. It's so inspiring. It is
Mm,
because you see that, like you see somebody do it. You see somebody do it. It's not that, oh, they're all here and this and that. No, you get to see literally, not a story, what they went through during that time. And I just think that is invaluable. Like the fact that he put that out there. The fact that more people don't is surprising, because that's
mm,
the story in and of itself is like, whoa, like this man, he did it.
mm.
And to give a little context, the songs that we listen to, like it's not Jesus Walks, but it's the other one. It's with
All
the
falls
sample.
down.
Yes. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you how old that song is, but when that song came out for us, it was already old. I'm gonna put it like that. Like that's the kind of journey this man has had, and I just think it's
Mm,
dope to them for them to put it out. And you see, like, for me, one of the biggest things was stop holding on to time so much and enjoy the journey and let things happen the way they're gonna happen. We get to control the perspective that we hold and whatever experience that we experience. We don't necessarily get to control the experience. And once you
mm,
start to take accountability for that perspective that you choose to have, you then start to take control of your life and how you do it. And I think that that was one of the biggest takeaways that I got from watching that first episode. New one comes out Thursday, Wednesday, I believe.
mm. Yeah, just as I want to make a couple points. One, in that thought process of there's so much in our lives that we can't control. Like I was watching something, no, I was reading something, and a guy was saying like he accepted the fact that there's probably about like 90% of life that he can't control. It's about 10% of it that he can. And I was like, that's about accurate. But once we're able to understand that, and through cultivating mindfulness, right, you're able to accept that as being the case, and you're able to still fully engage with the present moment. Most of the times when we are trying to control what we can't control is because we're focusing our attention on things that have happened in the past, like experiences from our past or certain expectations of our future. And that is why we are experiencing this resistance to being able to fully engage with the here and now, and our inability to be grateful, for where we are on our journey. And so mindfulness, I just wanted to reiterate that mindfulness is a way that you're able to accept the totality of where you are right now and be what Nick was describing, that Kanye demonstrated in this documentary, which I think is so powerful for many reasons. But one thing I do want to say, just to finish this off, for anyone who is hearing this and hears Kanye, and you naturally twist your face of like, I don't want to. I'm gonna let you know though that is something that probably you should pay closer attention to, because you're limiting your ability to empower yourself just because you're judging this person based on, you don't know him, right? But you're judging him based on things that you might read in headlines or things you see in social media, and you naturally might want to turn this concept of even watching his documentary off because you're like, no, it's Kanye. So I just want to say, think about that if that is the case, and you might want to reconsider giving it a watch. I know I mean I'm a Kanye fan. I don't say I listen to his music. I'm a fan of just like what Nick was saying. His the level of belief that he has in himself and
Bruh,
his
it's insane.
source and the faith that he has demonstrated. Even I haven't seen it yet, but I have been able to glean that through just observing his experience. Like, it's powerful. It's powerful. So I'm looking forward to watching it, but I know that there's some people out there that are twisting their face up a little bit when they
Hmm.
hear the fact that it is Kanye and they're like, no, 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 I'm not gonna watch that. No, no, I don't like Kanye. Uh, don't limit your experience based on judgments that you have that are
Yeah.
made based on things that you've seen on social media over the years, because it just it's not
I
beneficial
mean,
for you or the people that you may want to impact in your life.
yeah, I would share like my thought on it. What helped me change my perspective to be a little more open was I realized like those thoughts weren't even my own. Like for me to
Mm,
see, hearing something and just to be upset, like I don't like that. It wasn't even because I didn't like it. It was because of what I was told by somebody else or by something else that has already taken my perspective and constructed it to what they wanted it to be. And now I'm living that out. Bruh, when I started realizing that about so many things in my life, I got so angry with myself for a little bit. Then I laughed, of course, because I mean you can't do nothing but laugh in the end. But that first initial thought was, damn, I'm not even living my own life. I'm reacting based off stuff that I'm told and creating that as my own life. Like, why am I letting other people influence my decisions for me?
right. Yeah. We can talk about this all day, but we want to
We
let
can.
you all, get back to your day. For the people that are still watching, thank you. Yeah, we do kind of go on tangents, but they are purposeful. They are conscious. So I am grateful for them. Just wanted to draw our attention to the hats that you see Nick and I wearing. This mindful merch. I am putting it in the chat right now. Be sure to go check out our Balance Period store. Each one of our pieces of merch has our logo on it, and that logo is designed to prompt you to pause, to breathe, and to remember that you are whole and you are enough and you have everything you need in this moment to experience peace, regardless of what's happening outside of your control. Sometimes we need that reminder. I know I need it on a daily basis. That's why I wear our merch all the time. But check out the store. And yeah, we look forward to having you all tune in next week. We have another show coming out this week. If you haven't listened to the podcast from yesterday that dropped, highly recommend you checking that out. We talked about 5 ways that you can begin to incorporate more mindful movement into your day, taking the activities that you already do and just being more intentional about how you move your body and how that is connected to your incremental improvement of your quality of life over time. So be sure to check that out. It's on all listening platforms. You can support us by listening. You can support us by taking what you learned and incorporating it into your routine. And you can support us by sharing the show with other people. So thank you all so much for your continued support. And yeah, we look forward to being back here next week. If you ever have any suggestions on topics that you want us to cover or talk a little bit about, be sure to throw it in the chat or the comment section on wherever you're watching this on, or I'm gonna put our email in here. Um, I cannot do two things at one time at this moment. But podcast at balanceperiod.com. All right, send us emails there for topics that you would like us to cover and talk about. And we will be sure to incorporate that into either our live show or the podcast that comes out on a weekly basis. So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in and hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and just have a mindful week, right? Be sure to get outside
Definitely.
and get some sunlight. So, peace.
Peace.